They say that ghosts live in ruins and cemeteries, yet at times, they sometimes hide in places so usual that you walk past without a thought. Just no gargoyles or long hallways, merely a crumbling facade. I invite you to join me in this hotel, but take care. Not every door leads you back to where you came from.
I never thought ghosts were real. I was raised in an environment where logic and science formed the core principles. For me, tales of ghosts and spirits were simply fabrications meant to amuse. Or, at the very least, naive explanations for things we couldn't understand. Until I experienced it firsthand. And it didn't happen in a deserted mansion or a neglected cemetery, but in a very ordinary place, like a roadside motel. Let me recount my tale. Perhaps by the end, you will also have doubts about what you thought was real. I am Mateo Vargas, systems engineer. In my 30s, single, I follow a routine that is fairly predictable. During that week in November, a project brought me to a secluded village in the mountains. The only accommodation I could find was Hostel La Casona, a 2-floor building that, despite its name, appeared to be quite neglected. The exterior needed a fresh coat of paint, and the flower garden looked abandoned. I didn't give it much thought. I just needed a place to sleep, and somewhere to work during the night. The first night went smoothly without any issues. The room was basic, featuring a single bed, plus a desk, and a little bathroom. The silence was almost absolute, interrupted solely by the sporadic noise of a car passing by on the nearby road. On the second night was not the same. I found myself working on my laptop at around 12 in the morning, when I suddenly noticed a sharp drop in the room's temperature. It was not a mere breeze, but a thick, chilling cold. That was sharp. That reached my bones, despite the heating being turned on. I found myself instinctively looking up. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. The room was completely shut. The door was also shut. I attributed the feeling. Tiredness, or an odd fluctuation in the heating system of the old edifice. I returned to work, but that sensation stayed. An invisible presence seemed to fill the air, had stepped into the room, drawing in every bit of warmth. Suddenly, the small television at the foot of the bed turned on. It was set to the minimum volume, showing a grainy static image. I rose at once, wondering if it was a power outage. As I neared it, the television switched off unexpectedly. How unusual, I joked, trying to rationalize it. Maybe it was a power surge, but the cold sensation remained. I opted to lie down, hoping that sleep would clear away the heavy atmosphere. I turned off the bedside light and tucked myself in. Just as I had shut my eyes, I suddenly felt a weight pressing down on the mattress, right next to me. It was someone had taken a seat at the edge of my bed. I abruptly opened my eyes, my heart racing with intensity. The darkness was complete, yet I could feel the dip in the mattress clearly. I spoke with a voice that was barely a whisper. The only reply I received was silence. The pressure remained for a few seconds. After that, it gradually disappeared.
The chill started to dissipate, as if whatever caused it had gone away. I got out of bed. I turned on the light and looked around the room carefully. Everything was in its proper place.
The nights that followed turned into a relentless torment that came and went. At times, the cold would return, with the uncomfortable feeling of being observed. On one occasion, as I was taking a shower, the warm water abruptly became freezing cold, returning to normal temperature a few seconds later. Another night, the desk drawers opened by themselves with a single swift motion. I couldn't understand it. There were no drafts or any consistent electrical problems. I began to feel a visceral fear, a premonition that something was not right in that place. The hostel's owners, an older couple, somewhat gloomy,
They seemed unaware of anything odd. Or maybe they just chose to overlook it. The last night, which was the most intense of all, took place just before I was set to leave. I was gathering my things, feeling relieved to be leaving that place, when I suddenly experienced a sharp pain in my chest, as if I had been jabbed with a needle. I held my chest, panting. There was no mark at all. All of a sudden, one of my suitcases, resting closed on the bed, dropped to the floor with a thud. I opened it quickly. Within it, I discovered a small item that was not mine. An ancient key made of brass.
corroded, and it was cold to the touch. I took it gently. I had never noticed it before. What brought it to that place? As I watched it, a wave of sadness washed over me. I felt an overwhelming urge to cry, a heavy, unexplainable pain in my soul. I let the key slip from my fingers onto the bed, feeling woozy. The sadness dissipated as swiftly as it had come. I decided to let it go. I took my luggage and exited the room as fast as possible, feeling a rush of relief upon leaving.
I never knew what happened in that hostel. I never understood why it was so cold. The television that would turn on by itself, the strange pressure on the bed, the mysterious key, and the flood of sorrow. I returned to my life, to my engineering routine, trying to push those memories far down into my subconscious. But now and then, when the silence is absolute and the temperature falls without any clear reason, a stab of that frozen fear resurfaces, and I ponder, was it just my imagination playing tricks on me? Or did I actually experience something that challenges our perception of reality? Even now,
The answer continues to be a terrifying enigma that leaves us puzzled.
Was it just a mirage? Or are there places where the invisible slips into your life without asking for permission? Of your environment, and it quiets down in your room. That subtle change in temperature. Some hotels don't need publicity or prior arrangements. They reach out to you when you are weary, susceptible, in a daze.